Wait, wait, hold up, hold up, hold up. You're not ready for what just leaked out of this Ashlee Jenae case. Joe McCann is back on American soil. The man is sitting comfortable at some undisclosed location, and now his lawyer is teasing a full statement, and a sit-down interview like this is a movie premiere. A whole press tour. While Ashlee's body is still waiting on a second autopsy, and her family is still drowning in grief. And Joe really thought this was the move to play? Brew just lit his own fuse. Listen, before I crack this whole thing open, you'll gotta smash that like button and subscribe right now. We're the ones keeping Ashlee's name loud when everybody else wants this story to go quiet. Tap the bell too, cause when Joe opens his mouth, you're gonna want me first. Let's go. Okay, here's the skeleton. Joe McCann, the 45-year-old crypto fund manager, CEO of Asymmetric, fiancé of Ashlee Jenae Robinson, is officially back in the United States after being held by Zanzibar authorities for weeks following Ashlee's death on April 9, 2026, inside the Zanzibar resort. His attorney sent a written statement to journalist Cheyenne Corin over the weekend confirming the return, and Joe himself dropped a long personal post on X on May 5, 2026, the same exact day Ashlee was being laid to rest at Second Baptist Church in Paulsboro, New Jersey. Joe really picked the day of her funeral to break his silence. Couldn't have waited 48 hours. Now let's pull up the receipts, cause this whole thing is leaking. Let's go to the tape. First receipt, the attorney statement read by Cheyenne Corin on her platform over the weekend. Direct quote, Joe is relieved to be home where he can finally grieve for Ashlee, the love of his life. We also wish to express our deepest gratitude to the authorities in Zanzibar and the dedicated men and women in the State Department for their professionalism during this ordeal. We'll have more to say at an appropriate time in the very near future. When I read that, I had to read it 3 times. Bro is relieved to be home? Relieved? Your fiancé came home in a casket and you're relieved. That's the word his lawyer chose. That's the word he signed off on. Brew, your PR team failed you in real time. Now jump to May 5, 2026, the exact day of the funeral. Joe drops a lengthy post on X. People, Complex, The New York Post, Essence, Bet, TMZ, every outlet ran it word for word. He opens with, there are no adequate words to describe the total devastation, emptiness, and shock I feel after losing my best friend, confidant and fiancé, Ashlee Jenae Robinson. As a father myself, I am also heartbroken for Ashlee's parents, Yolanda Endres and Harry Robinson. On the surface, sounds beautiful. Read it twice though. He sent it himself in the first sentence. I am heartbroken. Not Ashlee was. Not Ashlee deserved. Joe really opened his goodbye letter by talking about his feelings. That's the move of somebody writing for a courtroom, not a casket. Then he continues, devoted fans knew Ashlee through her charismatic online persona Ashlee, but the person I loved was Ashlee, a woman who embodied the virtues of compassion, empathy, kindness, generosity, and love. A nurturing presence. Ashlee cared deeply for the people closest to her, which to my eternal gratitude included me. She fattened me up with her amazing cooking, and had a great relationship with my kids. Nah, fattened me up. Bro really used fatten me up in a memorial statement? Yo, this is the dumbest line I've ever read in a public grief letter. That's not how a grieving man talks. That's how a man writes when somebody told him humanize her with a wholesome anecdote. He closes with, what Ashlee desired most was to become a mother and to raise a family together. There is no question that she would have been an amazing mom. Ashlee was an angel who shined her light on everyone fortunate enough to be in her presence. There is no way to fill the unfillable void left by Ashlee's passing, and no way to make sense of this unfathomable loss. All we can do is carry on Ashlee's legacy of helping other people and strive to live up to her virtues every single day. Ashlee, I love you forever. Beautiful words. But when I read this side by side with what TMZ reported on May 7, 2026, that Joe had been texting Ashlee's family privately and they left him unread, it hits different. The family who actually buried her wants nothing to do with him. And here's the receipt that should have ended this conversation back in April. The Tanzania Police Force press release on April 14, 2026 stated, and I quote People magazine quoting them directly, that Ashlee and Joe had been separated into different rooms for the safety of each other following a misunderstanding days before the incident. For the safety of each other. Read that one more time. Police don't move couples to separate rooms over a lover's spat. They move them when somebody is scared somebody might get hurt. And Joe really thought he'd ride a best friend, confidant statement past that detail? Now let me connect dots you might have missed. That attorney statement? Dropped to Cheyenne over the weekend, meaning before the funeral. The ex-post? Posted May 5th, the funeral day itself. The TMZ left unread story? Dropped May 7th, 2 days after the burial. That's not coincidence. That's a coordinated rollout. Somebody is running a comms playbook, brew. His statement dropped hours after reports went public that he wasn't invited to Second Baptist Church. Hours. That's the move of a man getting ahead of a narrative, not a man processing fresh grief at sunrise. Remember the lawyer's words? Came before the public funeral confirmation. Which tells me Joe's legal team knew he was getting locked out of that church days in advance and chose to soft launch his return to America to soften the blow. That's strategic, not emotional. Now zoom out on Joe himself. According to Fortune magazine on April 16, 2026, Joe McCann is the founder and CEO of a crypto hedge fund called Asymmetric, one of the top-performing funds of 2023, deep in Solana. Is not some random fiancé. He's a Wall Street to Silicon Valley veteran with 24-plus years moving big money and bigger lawyers. The man knows exactly how to manage a press cycle. So when his attorney drops a statement about being relieved, and his ex-post centers his own feelings, that's not naive grief. That's a managed asset. Then there's the bigger picture. Cheyenne Corin reported the family is trying to gather information right now, possibly the U.S. independent autopsy results, possibly Zanzibar police records. Joe got released. Joe's home. Joe's planning press. The family? Still waiting on documents. Whose voice is louder right now? Whose voice should be louder? Any decent advisor would have told Joe to stay quiet until the family spoke first. But Joe isn't taking that advice. Brew is steering the narrative while the parents still don't have the toxicology report in their hands. Now check this out. Nobody's talking about it. Pull up that attorney statement again. One word. Look at professionalism. The lawyer said the Zanzibar authorities handled this with professionalism during this ordeal. Why is that the word? Why not thoroughness? Why not diligence? Professionalism is the word you use when you want to compliment somebody who did you a favor. That word right there? That's a thank you note in legal disguise. Now zoom into ordeal. His attorney called this whole thing an ordeal. Whose ordeal? Joe's ordeal. Not Ashlee's. Not the family's. Joe's. The framing of the entire sentence makes Joe the victim of an inconvenience, not Ashlee the victim of a death. Joe really didn't catch that? That's embarrassing for his legal team. Jump to the ex-post. The phrase my best friend, confidant and fiancé. 3 labels. Stack them in that order. Best friend first. Confidant second. Fiancé last. He literally ranked her engagement to him third. The man who got down on one knee just days before April 9th put fiancé at the end of his list. Brew, that's not how a grieving fiancé speaks. That's how somebody downgrades a relationship under legal review. Then fattened me up with her amazing cooking. Forensically, that's a deflection phrase. Is giving you a wholesome domestic image to override the police statement about separate rooms for the safety of each other. It's a pivot. Your brain is supposed to picture pots and pans, not a hotel corridor with security. Whoever drafted this knew exactly what they were doing. And the closer. Ashlee, I love you forever. Past tense action with present tense feeling. He didn't say I will always love you. He said I love you forever. That's a sentence built for screenshots, for social media, for sympathy clips. If opposition really cared about grieving in private, he wouldn't have crafted a kicker line. He would have just grieved. One more. Look at where he posted. X, not Instagram, where Ashlee built her 88,000 follower platform. Not Facebook, where her family communicates. X, the platform of crypto bros, journalists, and quote tweet warriors. That's not the audience of someone mourning a fiancé. That's the audience of someone managing a brand crisis. Joe doesn't read between the lines. Joe is writing between the lines, and y'all are reading every word. Now watch how the media split on this. The New York Post framed the statement as an incomprehensible tragedy. They ran the emotional angle, played the fiancé as grieving partner card hard. They emphasized he hasn't been accused of any wrongdoing. That's classic Post. Sensational headline, soft middle. Complex framed it completely differently. Their headline focused on him being blocked from her funeral. Their angle, the family rejection. Complex isn't buying the grieving fiancé narrative. They're sitting next to the family in this one. Same statement, different spin. Essence went the hardest. Their framing? As her family challenges the official investigation. They put the family's pushback in the headline. They are not letting that Tanzania suicide ruling sit comfortably. Essence understands what's at stake here, and they refuse to let the official narrative be the only narrative. Then TMZ, typical TMZ, dropped that May 7th follow-up suggesting Joe communicated with family, but got left on read. Reading between their lines? They were trying to humanize Joe. Look, he tried. That framing benefits one person. Some Joe defenders are running with that TMZ story like it's proof of his innocence. But remember the police press release we covered? Separate rooms for the safety of each other. You don't outrun that with a screenshot of an unread text. The fans defending Joe are reaching with TMZ's framing like it's the gospel. Those are the same people who thought Fatten Me Up was a touching tribute. And the BBC? They went factual. Joe speaking to police as a witness. No emotion, just status. Which is exactly how the international press handles this kind of case until somebody is charged. That's not a vote of confidence. That's just journalism on legal eggshells. Here's what nobody is talking about. The mainstream is selling you a story about a grieving fiancé finally finding the strength to speak. The incomprehensible tragedy narrative. The fatten me up wholesomeness. The angel imagery. That's what the press release wants you to swallow. But here's the real story. This is psychological warfare dressed up as grief. Think about who Joe McCann actually is. A hedge fund CEO. A Wall Street veteran. A man whose entire career is built on reading sentiment, managing perception, and timing market entries. According to Fortune, his fund Asymmetric was a top-performing crypto fund of 2023. You don't reach that level without understanding anything perfectly. Narrative control. When Joe dropped that X post on May 5th, that wasn't grief. That was a coordinated narrative launch. Joe McCann doesn't do anything by accident. The man trades on patterns, and right now is trading on your sympathy. Look at the chessboard. Move 1. Lawyer drops the relieved to be home statement to one selected journalist over the weekend. That's a soft launch, testing the water, gauging reaction. Move 2. Joe drops the long X tribute on the same day as the funeral, guaranteeing the headline split between mourners crying in Paulsboro and quote tweets of his statement. He hijacked Ashlee's funeral news cycle. Move 3. 2 days later, TMZ, the most pro-celebrity defendant outlet in the country, drops the Joe tried. Family left him on read piece. That's not a leak. That's a plant. Joe is playing chess. Ashlee's family is barely standing up from the grave. And here's the part that should make every viewer furious. While the family is gathering autopsy results, gathering police records, gathering evidence, Joe is gathering press. Here's the one in front of every camera. Here's the one whose name is in every headline. The grieving parents, Yolanda Endres and Harry Robinson, who buried their 31-year-old daughter on May 5th. They didn't get a press conference. They didn't get a corporate PR firm. They didn't get the New York Post running their words. Joe did. Because Joe has the resources, the lawyers, and the playbook. That's industry power working in real time, and the industry of crypto-wealthy white men with hedge funds is one of the most insulated industries on the planet. Then there's the authenticity problem. We've heard Joe's voice. We've seen Joe's children referenced. We've read about Joe's grief. But where are Joe's friends? Where are Joe's family members? Where's the brother stepping forward to say Joe could never? Where's the mother saying I raised him better? Nowhere. Compare that to Ashlee. Friends showed up at that New Jersey funeral. Influencers like Trent Out Loud documented it. The community rallied for her. The contrast is deafening. Joe is rich, lawyered up, and isolated. And isolated men with insurance policies and private resorts in Zanzibar have a history I don't have to spell out for you. Brewer's whole emotional support system is a press release. And the cultural moment? Listen, this is what happens when a black woman dies on foreign soil in the company of a wealthy white man with international business ties. Zanzibar police professionalism worked out really well for Joe, didn't it? That ruling came down fast. That passport got returned. That plane took off. Meanwhile, the family in New Jersey is left with crumbs. We've seen this script before. We saw it with Shanquella Robinson in Mexico. We're watching it with Ashlee Robinson in Tanzania. The international playbook of wealthy partner walks free, dead black woman gets ruled a suicide is repeating in real time. And Joe is the latest beneficiary of a system that protects men who look like him and travel like him. The Ashleys of this world keep ending up in caskets, and the Joes of this world keep ending up at undisclosed locations. So when his attorney says more to say at an appropriate time, translate that. That means after we read the room, after we test the polling, after we workshop the angle. Joe is playing checkers with a chessboard's vocabulary. And that's the truth they won't tell you. So what happens next? Joe's gonna sit down for that interview his lawyer teased, but it's not gonna be with a tough journalist. Mark my words. He's gonna pick a softball platform. Maybe a friendly podcast. Maybe a curated written profile. Somewhere he controls the questions. He's gonna cry on cue. He's gonna talk about Ashlee's cooking again. He's gonna invoke his children. And he's gonna refuse to answer the one question that matters. What happened in that villa between separate rooms and that door? When that interview drops, Joe is gonna look like a man performing grief on a stage he built, and the fans paying attention are gonna see through it. The silence from Ashlee's real friends, her real family, her real community is gonna hit louder than every word he says. Bro is gonna look like he's screaming into a void he created. Now, if the family pushes back harder, if Yolanda and Harry release that independent U.S. autopsy results, if they publicly contest the Zanzibar ruling, if they hire a private investigator and go on record, Joe's whole PR strategy is gonna collapse like wet paper. Watch what happens. The incomprehensible tragedy headline turns into fiancé under fresh scrutiny overnight. The "fattened me up" line becomes a meme that follows him every single day. His asymmetric investors start asking quiet questions. The crypto press starts running side-eye profiles. Joe is not ready for what happens when a grieving family decides to fight back with paperwork. He thinks he's controlling the narrative. Wait till the receipts come from people who actually held Ashlee's hand. The family wins either way, because truth outlasts PR every single time. This case is gonna join the Shanquella Robinson canon. Mark my words. 5 years from now, when we list the cases that expose how international borders fail black women, Ashlee Robinson's name is gonna be on that list. And Joe McCann's name is gonna be right next to hers in the footnote nobody can scrub. The crypto industry that protects him today will quietly distance itself when the climate changes. The hedge fund that bays his fingerprints will get rebranded or restructured. And Joe will become a case study in how money buys time, but not legacy. He's watching the culture move on without him, and he doesn't even know it yet. The fans defending him today are gonna pretend they never did, 5 years from now. That's what cultural cycles do. They remember the victim, and they erase the apologists. Joe already lost. He just hasn't been told yet. Whatever happens, interview, no interview, Zanzibar update, family rebuttal, one thing's clear. Joe McCann already lost the trial of public opinion the moment he wrote "fatten me up" in a memorial statement. The rest is just paperwork. You'll listen. Ashlee's spirit is not staying in Zanzibar. Not on my channel. We're bringing her name home every single upload until that family gets the answers they deserve. So if you're with me, drop a comment with one word, justice. So the algorithm knows this story isn't dying. Subscribe, hit that bell, and share this with somebody who still thinks Joe McCann is a grieving fiancé. Because the moment he opens his mouth for that interview, I'm coming back on this channel and breaking it down line by line. Joe, if you're watching, we see you. We hear you. And we're not going anywhere. And by the way, tomorrow we're dropping something wild about that Zanzibar resort itself, the partnerships, the alleged friend Joe had on the ground, and the rumors about who was really in that hotel that night. You do not want to miss that one. See you sooner than later.